Okay guys, we're gonna do a little video here of what it's like to drive a GLA 45 AMG. A lot of this will pertain to a CLA as well. This is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that makes 355 horsepower, 332 foot-pounds of torque. It's a single turbo twin scroll like the M2. The boost is amazing. It's 26.5 pounds of boost. A lot of engines run at 7 pounds, 9, 11. This is 26.5. So this car really takes off like a rocket, but the turbo doesn't kick into about 3,000 RPM. I don't know if you can see in this video, but the red line is 6,200. And if you hit 6,200, you actually have fuel cut off, so that could be embarrassing. So I had a CLA 45 before this, or earlier this year, and I had it for a couple of years, so I'm kind of used to the sound that the engine makes. It sounds great with this sport exhaust. It's like a $500 option, but it really transforms the car. Now, I believe the GLA is quieter than the CLA, just because they market this as a crossover, and I've said in every single video, to me it's not a crossover, it's really an STI wagon. Obviously, an STI wagon comes in stick, which I always would prefer the stick shift. This is the only transmission, but they have really improved the dual clutch. It's much better than the one I had in my 2014 CLA, and this is the first year of the GLA 2015, so it has that revised dual clutch. I think there's been revisions since then. I think for 16 there was a revision as well, but I think they got it down this time, so I'm very happy with it. It's got a ton of power. Again, it's all-wheel drive with the short wheelbase, and I'll do a video that the tires here are skinnier than on the M2, and it has some oversteer. So if you're on a highway exit ramp, which I love, every car enthusiast wants a neutral handling car. This you'll actually get some oversteer, say on a highway exit ramp, or a sweeping turn if you get on the gas early, or go a little too hard into the corner, and I like that. Most cars are set for understeer, and I think they did a really good job here with the GLA. I assume, it's because of the shorter wheelbase. I know the CLA definitely understeered a lot. I did an autocross with it once. It wasn't even my car. It was actually at an AMG driving event, and that car, you had to trail brake so hard. Oh, crap. See, when you drive around during the day, it's all landscapers. You had to drive that car so trail brake so perfectly in an autocross to get on those tight turns to keep the car from understeering. Otherwise, it would just plow. So this GLA doesn't have that, and I love it. I actually love driving this car. I really typically I'll have a daily driver that is more of just an everyday car, like a Jeep Cherokee or something like I have now, and when I have to drive that car in rain or snow, or maybe going to New York City where there's a million potholes, so I have to take that car. I don't usually look forward to driving it. I look forward to driving my sports cars. But this car's really fast, 4.2 seconds to 60. I look forward to driving my sports cars, and I usually say, I've got to drive the Jeep today. I know, big problems, right? But this I look forward to driving. I'm like, oh wow, can I take the GLA 45? Sold. I find myself sometimes taking this instead of one of my other sports cars, just because it's a little under the radar. I kind of like flashier cars, like I'll call them cars and coffee cars. And I think people don't know what this is. It doesn't get a second look because people just think it's a crossover. Even though if you put it against the regular GLA 250, this car looks a lot lower and a little bit meaner with the bigger wheels. But most people that's just a crossover to them, so they won't give you a second look. So that's good or bad, depending what you're looking to do. I wouldn't mind being a little flashier. You certainly can get a rear wing on the back of this car, which would make it flashier if that's what you want to do. I was kind of indifferent. I take it if the car, since I bought this used, came with it, but I didn't necessarily have to have it. The most important thing for me was the sport exhaust and these Recaro racing seats, which are well worth the money at $2,500. And the leather, I cheaped out on my CLA just because it was a daily driver and had so many cars. I didn't feel like running 10 grand in options. We got some good roads coming up here, depending which way this guy goes. All right, we'll go this way. The problem with some of these roads is just the speed limit's 40 and everybody goes 25. It's like, just go 40. So it's a beautiful fall day here in New Jersey. Winter tires will be going on this car pretty soon. Very soon, actually. I usually do the change around Thanksgiving. Once in a blue moon, we have a snowstorm. We had a couple of Halloweens where we had snowstorms, or maybe around a November storm. That's pretty rare. We usually get our first storm like the beginning of December. So that's why Halloween, to me, is always a safe changeover. So again, this dual clutch, certainly, I always prefer a stick shift. If there was a dual clutch and a stick shift, I couldn't see myself choosing a dual clutch over a stick, because I kind of like the visceral and being in control and kind of doing my own thing. And I like heel, toe, downshifting, and it just makes it more fun even when you're going slow or stuck behind a slow car. But this dual clutch is great. I mean, you can keep the engine on boil. It works very well for this high-strung engine, so you can always keep it over above 3,000. Right now, we're in 4th gear. I always drive in manual mode, which also kind of sets back the stability control, so you won't get that oversteer in comfort mode. It'll always keep it in the full 100% threshold for the security aids like traction control and stability control. But I always drive in manual mode, which kind of dials back the it's my water rattling, dials back the nannies about 50%. Alright, good. We're going to lose the Jeep here. Gets great gas mileage. You see, I just did an ownership video. I'm not sure which video I'm going to post first. Sound is great too with that sport exhaust. This engine is just an amazing engine. Here's where it has the, you know, where AMG Mercedes has the M2 or the 1M beaten, where they're just basically, you know, massaged 135 or 235 engines. This is a AMG hand-built engine, and with all this power and boost, it doesn't compare to a regular Mercedes engine or even the new, I believe, turbo motors of the BMW M cars. So acceleration is no problem at all. People look twice, they can't believe this little hatchback is that fast, and just past them. So you are faster than pretty much every car on the road. Gas mileage, I took on a long highway trip the other day, and I averaged, it'll be in my video, I think around 26.5 miles a gallon, which I think is 26.7, and that's, I think, the best mileage I've ever seen on cars that I've owned. So usually I'm happy if I get 20. My V8 M3 got about 17.4 no matter how I drove it. The M2 gets 20.7. You know, in mixed driving, the 1M was 19.4. The only problem is, like the M2 small gas tank, I think it's 13.8. The M2 is 13.7. I drive a lot, so if I'm using this car as a daily driver, I get gas like every 2 days. So I got gas, for example, like Tuesday night to make it to the hockey rink, drove all day Wednesday for work, drove all day Thursday for work, went back to hockey Thursday night, and I needed to get gas to get home from hockey. So, or to get to hockey. So it shows how quickly the gas tank, even though it's getting good fuel mileage, there's just not, it's not a 17-gallon tank or an 18-gallon tank. When you're in 7th gear on the highway like we are now, at the speed limit, you're at about 1,500 RPM. So if you ever thought of passing somebody, you'd have to drop at least 1 gear. I mean, realistically, I think to pass somebody at like 65 miles an hour, you'd probably have to drop 2 gears to 5th gear to get any power out of this. So now we're going 40 miles an hour, we're in 3rd gear, and that's kind of where our power is right now. These blind spot things are pretty conservative. This is my first car I ever had with the blind spot lane changers. And normally how I change lanes, it always tells me not to go. That's why you heard that beep. Now this has a backup camera but no sensors. I think there's another option that this car doesn't have that actually gives you the sensors and possibly the ability to park itself, you know, parallel park. I know that was like a $900 option on my CLA and I didn't take it. So just with the backup camera, if you don't have the sensors, you just got to, you know, obviously you're supposed to look back behind you anyway, but to pay attention that there's not going to be a sensor that's going to beep that there's a sign of something sticking out behind you that maybe is not visible on the camera. And you saw how the handling was there. The handling was great. This car kind of digs in. I think the best videos for this car for reviews, besides mine, are Motor Trend's video with the GLA 45 versus the Macan with Johnny Lieberman and how he picks this car first. And I think the next best video for this is Matt Farah's one take from the Smoking Tire where he drives this car. And oops, got a good run. A lot of cars here. Where he drives this car in Canyon Road, and he's you know, really impressed with it. So I think if you're shopping for this car, besides my ownership videos, those are 2 videos to watch where they kind of really get into the nitty-gritty of the car. And again, we're filming this with a GoPro, so I apologize in advance for any sound quality issues. This is an original GoPro that I used a long time ago. This is probably from 2008, 2009. Whenever GoPro first came out, I got one since I was pretty much autocrossing every weekend, and this is what I'm using right now. Alright guys, well, I think we're stuck in a little traffic here, so I'm going to wrap this video up. Thanks again for joining me. This is what it's like to drive a GLA 45 AMG, and if you know, I haven't seen too many of these around. They haven't really sold too many. And I guess my issue is Mercedes should really market this as a hot hatch. And I think if they marketed it against the STI and the Golf R, I think they'd have a lot of buyers. Because I think there's a lot of people that are probably, you know, 30s or 40s that would love to drive this car, but, you know, they wear a suit and tie to work and couldn't bring an STI or a Golf R because maybe it's a little too boy racer to their work. And this is kind of like the perfect car because it's much faster, much more luxurious. Again, it's a lot more money, but now you're starting to see used ones in the mid to high 40s, and I think it's a steal at that price. Instead of spending, you know, 40 grand for a new STI, you can get this that's already taken a hit in depreciation. And that's my keys rattling. And it's an adult car. Nobody will look twice at you at work. Like, this blends into my parking lot. If they see a flashy car where I work, people assume it's my car, and they're usually right. Nobody has asked me if I bought a Mercedes because this car blends in where nobody even sees it. So it's kind of under the radar here. All right, guys, thanks. Please share and subscribe. As long as we keep building our subscriber base, I'll keep making videos. So thanks a lot for your support. I appreciate every one of your subscriptions and views. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.